Hello, Karen, and happy May 9th, and our fourth installment of our 5-part series on 12-minute podcasts.
Ooh, Katie, we're here. We're doing this thing. We got this. Happy first episode of season 8.
Yes, happy first episode of season 8. This is an enormous, milestone for both of us. Words are not coming to me super easily right now.
We've said a lot of words in the last 36 minutes.
Seriously. Okay, listeners, if you're coming in cold after a few months, I'm out of town right now as you're listening to this. And so we are doing a marathon recording session on Friday, April 15th. Yes, April 15th. You're listening to this on May 9th, but we are recording 5 mini pods in one day, in one go, really, really no breaks at all. Not even 2 breaths in between. Correct. And I have a timer.
Oh my gosh. And Katie has a timer and it makes me feel like I'm in therapy. I mean, Nicole is very kind about we go over all the time. Whoever her next appointment is, it's just oh, what the hell was this 10 o'clock? Because we constantly are going over. But I mean, at the beginning, when you first start seeing a therapist, they're very strict about the 50 minutes. And it's we've reached the end of our time. And that's how I feel right now with you with the timer.
Me too. I feel the same way. I don't know if this is a long-term solution. This is not sustainable. I have a lot of things I want to work out from our first 3 episodes, but but here we are on our 4th episode of 5. And today's episode the idea of it was brought to me because this morning I was on a group call with a bunch of friends, and it's the same people who get on this call every month. And I love them. And I love all of you who are listening, Sharon, Shannon, and Elizabeth. If you're listening, I hope they are. But anyway, Shannon, my friend Shannon, is always the one who leads it. And this guy, Robbie, is one of her best friends who lives in New York City. And he's always on the call too. Really nice guy. And they've known each other since childhood. And so we were all getting on the call, and everyone's on video. And then all of a sudden Shannon is starting to facilitate. And then the door behind her opens and it's Robbie in the flesh. And she had truly no idea. And Karen, it was so heartwarming because none of us knew. And he had organized it with his, with her husband, because he's home for Passover and all this stuff. And it was so beautiful. She started crying immediately. And all of us were tearing up because we're that, when someone's genuinely surprised, it's oh my God, she had no idea. It was just so beautiful. And there's so much, negativity and sadness in the world. And it's it's nice to be reminded that, there's still surprises that are good out there.
Yes, exactly. And that generates so much positive energy and have a ripple effect across all of you. That didn't happen to you, but you're still excited about it. And I'm excited hearing about it. And I hope people love hearing that story. And I love that so much.
I love it so much. And I've been super, super lucky to be on the receiving end of a few surprises in my life. And one of them, I'm so happy that you were part of last year on my 40th birthday. That was wild and crazy. It was, my poor sister was trying so hard, and the whole thing, it was a little crazy.
It was very, very, very fun. And listeners, Katie's sister and Tyler organized this surprise birthday Zoom with people. It was Katie Morrell, this is your life. There are people from all these different phases of parts of your life all on Zoom, and you had no idea we were going to be there. And you were running an errand or something.
Oh yeah. No, I wasn't even at home. I wasn't. And my sister and I were talking, and she's like, I have to go. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I was like, yeah, Tyler wants me home right now. And she's like, weird, bye. And I was like, oh, meanwhile, you're on Zoom with her. And my mom's on, oh God, that was just, yeah. It was so much fun though. It was so amazing because once I finally sat down and Tyler's like, here, let's sit in front of Zoom. I was like, what the hell? You want me to come home to be on Zoom with you? I don't even know what you're talking about. And then all of you are sitting there in these little boxes, and I'm like, oh, what? And I was genuinely shocked. I had no idea, none, zero. So it was amazing.
It was so much fun. It's fun to be on the receiving end. It's fun to be on the yay, let's surprise somebody. And I love good surprises. And I know there are people who don't like surprises. I guess I don't get that.
Yeah.
Do you know people who don't? Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know if I think probably some of my friends, like when they've been a part of a surprise for like me or someone else in my life, like I have had people, and I can't remember exactly who they are right now, but I definitely have had people who've come up to me and been like, don't you ever do this to me. Ever.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, okay, like noted. Yes, exactly. And it's like, and the thing, I think that it's like scary because when you're really surprised, it can be like jarring. Like I remember there is one surprise that I did that I will admit could have gone bad. And so for my mom's, it went well, thank God. But it was very over the top. So for my mom's 60th birthday, she and her partner went to Las Vegas for the weekend. And I knew this, and I was, in communication with her partner. And so I was travel writing at the time. So I organized it where they were going to go to the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas, and they were going to be on like one of those gondola trip, like the little boat things. And like they were going on this gondola, and my play was to work with the Venetian to fake that I was going to write a story about them, which I didn't, which is pretty unethical, at least in hindsight, but whatever. Anyway. And so I was on the route of the like Venetian, screaming at the top of my lungs in the middle of the Venetian, like on the banks of this fake river, mom. And like, she didn't even know I was in Las Vegas. Like this was like a totally like and so what happened was, which I didn't anticipate, was that she saw me, and it was like, I can't speak for my mom, who I know is listening, but like probably like a cognitive dissonance situation. Like there's no reason I would have been in Las Vegas. And so she stood up, Karen, in the gondola.
Oh no.
Right. She was going to like swim to me or something. I don't even know. And so her partner like pulls her down because they like start teetering, like she could have fallen out. It would have been fine. It's not like, she wouldn't have gotten hurt, but like still, it was like one of those things. And so I get in the gondola, and I'm like, surprise, happy 60th birthday. And she's so stunned. Like, she's just like, what? Like, she was excited, but also like, what the actual fuck, like,
yes.
Yeah. So there's that. She was like very jarred by it, and also probably happy, but still, it was like, that was a little over the top.
Today's episode of Course I'm Not Okay, the podcast, is brought to you by Take 5, our 5-part series where Katie and I will ask each other rapid fire questions to go with these timed mini pods. Today's question is, tell me about your first car.
Oh my. So my first car was a white 1990 Honda Accord with 225,000 miles on it. And it was epic. I loved my first car. It was, I think $3,200, which was more money than I could ever imagine. And my parents were very strict, and I'm not strict, just like it was more that I was paying for it. If you want a car, you're paying for it, like, period. And so I raised the money, and they were like, we'll pay for your insurance. That's it. And so I did. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to raise $3,200 in my life. And so like, I think I had one of those insanely low interest, like, loans where I don't even know how that worked. I would have been 16, maybe 17, but anyway, it drove for a very long time, and miraculously I sold it to a neighbor for $300, like, when it was pretty much dead, and he's a mechanic. And so then he had his daughters drive it for the next 5 years. And one of his daughters is a singer on Spotify who wrote a song and has it published on Spotify called My First Car. And it's about my first car, but also that's her first car. Yeah. Crazy. Oh my God. That is such a good story. Isn't that crazy? I kind of forgot about it until I was just saying it, but yeah, that's true. Christine Huckle. Yeah. She's actually an amazing singer. I'll link it in the podcast. Yeah. Crazy.
Oh my God. I love that so much. Damn. Okay. Mini pod. I know we got to go.
Yes. Oh, what is your first car, Karen? Yes.
My first car was a 1979 Volkswagen Rabbit that I named Jack. It was also white with robin's egg blue pleather interior.
Oh, awesome.
I don't know how many miles were on it because the speedometer didn't work. Never knew how fast I was going. That car was a little bit of a death trap. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, I loved it with every cell of my being, My stepdad bought it for me for $500 without asking my mother for permission. So I came home from work. Yeah, no. I like barely had my license. My stepdad like loves cars. We always had like new cars all the time.
Yeah.
So he just saw this car on the side of the road for $500 and was just like, that looks like Karen. It's so cute. Bought me this car. My mother's like, you did what? And I mean, there's so many things wrong with that car, but of course I loved it. And I drove it until probably for like 2 years in high school. I don't know what became of Jack Rabbit, I have to say. It's probably better if I don't know. He went to live with a nice family upstate. So like, I'm just
he's on a farm now.
Exactly. Like a plant, acting as a planter somewhere.
Yes.
But having a car, like for me at the time, living in the suburbs really represented independence and being able to do whatever I wanted and sneak into the city to pick up copies of the Reader, the whole thing. So I loved that car.
That's amazing. Thank you, First Cars, for sponsoring this episode.
I mean, that is a fantastic surprise. That's a good one. I mean, I'm glad you all survived and nobody fell in the water. And I will say, Ginger Buddha and Americano Angel surprised me last year for my birthday, and they decorated my back porch.
Oh my God, that's such a beautiful gesture.
It was so incredible. It's really funny. I love it so much that I will say I never had the heart to take any of it down. So I have all of these dead ski plants. Like the table they bought me is rusted. I'm going to fix it, girls. I know you're horrified by it, but it was just, it was one of those things. It was like, I had gone out of town and I came back and I happened to look outside and I was like, God, what is that swinging? And it was like all of these plants and lights and oh my gosh.
Seriously? It's love. That's love.
Very loving. And the funniest part of it is that they like, I mean, the pots and everything. And so they gave me this pot and it had a plant in it. And then this weed started growing in it. And I was just like, okay, well, really weed? How the hell, it's like in this contained pot. And
Weird.
Tori came over one day and she's looking at it. She's like, no, that's a tomato plant, actually.
Thank God for Tori. I mean, for Ginger Buddha, she is just an angel in so many ways.
Oh, it was like, I mean, we laughed about those tomatoes all summer because like in this not very big pot, this tomato plant like dug up from her yard, made it and was just like, nah, fuck y'all. I'm about to grow some tomatoes, even though I wasn't eating tomatoes at the time. And I had like 8 little tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Did you like give them away or like back to Tori?
I know, right? I did try to give them away. I don't know how edible those tomatoes were. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I guess they were. Who knows?
But yeah. I mean, you kept them alive. That is a significant accomplishment right there. I've heard tomatoes are very hard to grow, but that's so beautiful to like, I think part of the surprise thing is like to surprise someone is to like, it's like you didn't organize that. There was no part of it that like you were part of. And that's such a beautiful thing. It's like someone's thinking of you without you reminding them to think of you. Like how gorgeous is that, And it's like, and gestures big and small, like receiving letters in the mail or, having like even a text can be a surprise. Like, and it's like, totally. There's just so much, it doesn't have to be these grand things. It's like, that's just such a beautiful thing to like remember. And it's like, it really makes me think, okay, who are the people in my life who I haven't been touching base with lately, who I could surprise with just like a text, just like, hey, I'm thinking of you. Like, that's it. Like, that's just a nice thing. When someone sends me something like that, I'm like, wow, that's really heartwarming. Like, you don't want anything from me. like
right.
Right.
Right. It's just an expression of, like you said, it's really beautiful. It's just this expression of, yes, I was thinking of you. And yeah. I will say one other surprise. Oh, I'm so worried about the time, Katie. So
I know it's a little stressful. We're at 1:18 left.
Oh shit. Okay. Real quick. I should have looked it up while I was talking and I didn't. So we had Rachel Kramer Bussell on a couple seasons ago. Yes. She edits the Best Women's Erotica series and so many other erotic anthologies. I forget how many she's up to now. And the Best Women's Erotica that came out at the end of 2021, she has themes with them, and the theme was surprise.
Oh,
those stories are so good.
And I need to get into it.
Author did something different with the element of surprise. Oh, they're so good. So, so good.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I'll totally link that in the pod for this week as well, because that's like, I mean, her stuff is so amazing. I would love to have her on again, actually. Rachel, if you're listening, you're forever invited.
Yes, Rachel, I miss you. We used to have book club for the other podcast that I do, Feminist Erotica. I will put in a plug. We did have, so the last episode we published, Princess and I host that podcast, Feminist Erotica. The last episode, we had Rachel and 3 of the authors from that anthology on, and they all read from their stories, and they were all different and so good. I love all of her anthologies, but yeah, that one especially. And I love the element of surprise, and that she's very clear in the introduction to that she wanted to be surprised. She reads so many erotica stories. Uh-oh.
Totally.
Is that your alarm going off?
Totally. So aggressive. It's so aggressive, Karen. I'm sorry. You're so right. I don't know if the microphone picked that up, but that was my alarm. So yes, we're at 12 minutes.
That was the first one I heard, though, of the 4. Now 4.
We're doing it. We are doing it. Best Women Erotica series. If anyone's looking for a good read, pick it up on your Kindle. You can also, I mean, can you order it like on paperback? Yeah. I'm sure you can. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She sent us copies of this last one. And the cover she picks are always like beautiful, like so lush and sexy without being awesome. Weird. Oh my gosh. Beautiful, beautiful.
So that's amazing. Okay. Well, this has been very fun, and I'm excited for our last episode of this 5-part series. And listeners, we'll see you next week.